actually were one of the children that was killed in the workhouse.
Oh my God, look at that.
Many dogs will go through that archway.
This week, Ghost Next Door is in York, and we have 2 bites at the cherry. First of all, we're going to investigate this magnificent Edwardian mansion, which is said to have the ghost of a very loyal manservant who lived here with his boss, who was an ex-army colonel, for 50 years. And it's said that he is seen walking around this property at strange times of the day and night. And then later on in the show, we're going to go into York and investigate the whole of the centre of York and find out who is walking the streets of York that shouldn't be.
Look at this. Massive.
That's massive. That's a huge one.
That's true. This is a really lovely room, isn't it?
Yeah. It's quite a pleasant vibe in here. Do you really feel anything too malevolent in here? What about you? How do you feel?
I don't think there's anything malevolent. I have the impression of people coming in here and studying, reading books, generally playing the piano.
Yeah. It's quite a relaxed sort of room, isn't it? You just go in, you feel really relaxed and chill.
The vibe in when you leave London is so obvious. When you go further north and into countryside like this, London's a very concentrated space where there's lots of dark energy and it's hard to breathe. There's just so many, it's like it's breeding and festering there. Whereas when you come to places like this, it's not really been touched by that sort of darkness. If there's any negative spirits, they're generally maybe some accidental death or something like that, and that's why they're lingering. But it seems like a more wholesome existence. Yeah.
I feel like it feels more spread out as well. In the north, everything feels quite like far apart and everything feels really spacious.
Yeah, well, there's lots of countryside, which actually makes it feel more magical.
Yeah, it does.
And it feels more connected to earth and the earth energy. Just imagine sitting down here and looking outside. I can smell cigarette smoke now. It's a really tall, skinny man with a moustache and hunting clothes. So I can see him something else now. He's got tailcoats and his hair's slicked back.
He's dressed for dinner.
Yeah, he's dressed for dinner. He really liked hunting though. Really liked hunting. He showed me his gun.
Did he go shooting? Was he a rider?
He definitely... I just have him like doing this. Yeah, no, he wasn't on horses. He wasn't on a horse. Now I can see his wife slightly younger than him. And I think he was very proud of that too. And like a light brown hair, bonnet, all up.
Why do you think he's still around?
Well, he seems like a very proud man, so I think this is a place where he fully fulfilled the desires of his soul. Like he had power, he was successful, he had authority, he had this amazing manor house that he obviously resided in and was proud of.
So as we've been sat here, it's really strange. I'm sort of looking in that direction, but I can see something by the corner of my eye. It looks like little squiggles in the air. Yeah. It's quite beautiful, actually. It just looks like really, like pretty white, smoky squiggles in the air. And I keep turning around and it's not there. And then when I look forward, it's there again.
What do you think it is?
Do you think it's a spirit? Is he right there? Because I feel like it's not there at this exact moment, but
He's literally, he's in this room, he's just following us around. He's very curious about what we're doing. But his energy is very nice. That's why you're seeing it as white squiggles, not dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's actually to your right now.
Is it? Yeah, I can't feel him on my left anymore. The squiggles have gone.
He's finding this very entertaining.
He's literally touching my whole body.
Well, see, when someone touches your hand, their energy transfers into you. So it's not like he's touching your whole body, it's just that his energy's traveling through your body. So if you focus on that energy and put it through this hand into me, then I can send it back to him. He's just that, I mean, it's fine.
He just was like there a second ago. I just like looked into the camera and he was right in front of me.
He's getting really close to our face. When we first got here, I actually saw a spirit straight away, and it's the same guy. He's just as soon as we've entered the building, he's just been like, "Shoo, hey Jenny," and I'm just like, "Oh, not ready yet. Wait a minute."
Every self-respecting Georgian manor has to have a spooky cellar, and this place definitely has a spooky cellar. This is where the servants used to work below stairs, and they used to live here too. So perhaps our ghost next door, the ghost of the manservant who lived with the colonel for 50 years in loyal service, maybe this is where we'll pick up on him. Well, I've been taking readings around the rest of the cellar area and we're not picking up anything. If you tilt down onto the meter here, we're getting the reading that you'd expect, which is 0.
That is... Oh my god, look at that.
Oh my god.
What is going on with
Oh
that?
god, it's been freezing cold as well.
I feel really lightheaded.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's crazy.
Oh god.
Something's trying to show its power, isn't it?
This... That's nuts! And now it's stopped completely. That is so weird. That is something saying hello for sure. Wow. We literally just walked in here and I turned this on thinking there's not going to be anything going on because there's nothing electric down here apart from the lights. And that happened. This is an electromagnetic field meter, and electricians use it for finding electrical fields and electromagnetic fields, which is slightly different. For instance, a microwave produces a really big electromagnetic field, and this you'd expect to be down here where we are in the cellars, because there are no electrical devices down here apart from the lights, and electrical lighting only produces a really, really tiny field. But what just happened was it went berserk for absolutely no reason at all, in a way that I have never seen this do that. That's unprecedented. It just went nuts, off the scale. Oh, there it goes again. That is so weird. Somebody is with us and they're saying hello. What I love about making Ghosts Next Door is you never know what's going to happen next, and that incident with the meter in the other room was an example of that. You never know what's going to happen from moment to moment.
I feel really on edge in here. I feel quite jumpy. I don't know.
Boom.
Yeah, I feel really jumpy. I don't know. Yeah.
Good.
Don't feel very good in here.
Now there's something else I need to tell you, which unfortunately we missed because we were so freaked out about the EMF meter. I was just taking my big Brazilian crystal that Isabella's mother gave me actually out of my pocket, and it was in my back pocket like that, and as I pulled it out I was holding the chain like that, and the thing just went up in the air like that. It's dead straight and then swung back again like that. It really freaked me out because I thought it literally felt like somebody was grabbing it out of my hand. That's what it felt like. Let's see if we can induce whatever's down here to do that again. Anyway, while we're here, let's dowse. Now, dowsing is as old as the hills. Witches used to do it in the Middle Ages, and the pagans used to do it. Druids did it. The Egyptians did it. Everyone did it. Everyone does it, including me. Yeah, well, that's what I expected, which is the side-to-side movement, which denotes the presence of a spirit and denotes the presence of quite a powerful spirit. Well, that was freaky enough. Let's see what else we can find down here. This staircase must have been the one the servants used to take stuff up to the main house. Don't like them very much. Do you get a vibe off them?
Yeah, this whole place is not very nice. The vibe is horrible. Upstairs it's quite pleasant, but I don't like it here. So when I was just connecting there, I could feel myself connecting to something, and then I just got this really horrible image of an angry person's face just like pop into my head, and it immediately made me like open my eyes. At first I did think it was a spirit of our ghost next door, the servant, but I didn't feel like he was angry. So I think it could actually be another spirit, an angry spirit that resides here.
Wow. Sometimes when I walk in a room, an empty room, virtually empty room like this, I'm shown how it was at a particularly relevant time. And when I just walked in now, I didn't see this room with lawnmowers in it and bare brick. I saw a table here with the servants eating, kind of a Downton Abbey vibe, and there were plates on the walls and sideboards and loads of cookery stuff. There was a cooker in here, and I just saw it exactly as it was, what must have been 100 years ago. And I could hear the voices and the sound of conversation and laughing and cutlery and plates, and it was quite overpowering. That vibe is still very much here, and I think it must be because it was used so much every day for that purpose. Very benign, very innocent, but very, very real.
We're in the cellar now where the servants live. It's definitely different from the spirit upstairs, who's nice and pleasant and obviously had a good existence here.
When I first came in, this laser, which measures the temperature of surfaces, was giving a reading of 15 plus, and it's now giving a reading of 10. Now, nobody switched on the refrigerator, but the temperature has dropped a third. It's dropped 30% in this room in a few minutes. I seem to have this really weird effect on rooms. When I go into them, the first reading I take will be 15 degrees, 19 degrees, 20 degrees, and then after a few minutes of me being in the room, it starts to drop dramatically by a third, which is just done now. And I think that must be because when spirit starts to connect and starts to manifest, it literally draws the energy out of the environment it's in, which is why people feel cold and why rooms get cold. And the atmosphere in this place has changed since we walked in, and it's definitely this room rather than the others. My ears are now whistling. I tell you, being me is like being in it's a merry-go-round. It's one thing after another. My right knee goes cold, and then my ears start to whistle, and they do different things for different reasons, independently of each other, which makes it very hard for me to speak, as you can see, because it's quite distracting. And then this process starts, and it's like someone starting the engine of a car. It just changes. The car changes. You can feel this kind of mechanical vibration, and it's like that with spirit. You can feel this spirit vibration that is very tangible, and the ways that I can show you are with my crystal dowser, the EMF meter, and with the temperature of the walls. Let's just check what they're doing now. So that's dropping down to 9.1, and that was at 15 a few minutes ago, so that's now at 9. And if I keep this on for long enough, you'll see it starting to drop, and I bet you that will drop to 8.9, and there you go, 8.9. That's dropping to 8.9. I'm pointing it at the same spot on the wall. So the thing that's in here, that's dropping, that's plummeting. Look at that, it's down to 8.6, 8.5, 8.5, 8.4. Isn't that amazing? We've been down in this room for half an hour or so, and when I dowsed this with my crystal when we got here, it was going from side to side, denoting a negative presence. So I'm now going to channel and connect to it and see what happens. So if you tilt down onto the crystal, it's now giving the circular motion, which is, to my interpretation of things, a positive indication of positive energy. So that energy has changed. But I still have this nagging feeling that there are two conflicting energies in this room. There's one which is soulless and quite negative, and what would feel like poltergeist activity to me, something that would move things around. And I think it was that pulled the crystal out of my pocket and almost dropped it on the floor, but it shot out backwards out of my pocket. But I think the other energy is much more spirit of the forest type of thing, much more innocent. Using a little bit of Ghost Next Door magic, we have transported ourselves to York.
This is the Shambles.
What's that?
Beautiful little chocolate box type street artisan bakeries, Rollies Fudge Pantry, romantic Italian restaurants, art shops. from its inception, the Shambles wasn't this beautiful place that it is today. It was a horrible place. 41 butcher shops, all with their own abattoirs.
Oh my God.
Chopping at the back, chopping outside at the front. River of blood flowing down these cobbles most days into the early evening. Not just blood, but bits and pieces. It stank, it was horrible. Before the Victorian drainage system, flies, terrible smell. And your boots might be swimming in blood. You look again, there might be a pair of sheep's eyeballs staring up at you. So very, very different to what it is today. Shambles in its old Anglo-Saxon sense, meaning tables of flesh, or a place of blood, slaughter,
I never
and
knew
butchery.
that. Because they have the saying, this place is a shambles.
Yeah.
That's,
So,
the-
that's what it means.
that's
this place
where it
is just-
originates, yeah.
Alright.
This was a workhouse specifically for children, for street children, waifs and strays, boys and girls. Headmaster was a man called Mr. George Pym.
But these houses have been built on the floor plan of
Yeah,
the
they're
workhouse
all
as well.
Built in this area. Mr. Pym was paid by the church to look after the children. He was paid per child to see to their education, food, welfare, housing, but he didn't spend one penny on any child. He spent it all on Mr. Pym.
On a scale of 1 to 10 on the Pymometer of cruelty, how bad was it?
11.
Right.
Mr. Pym, very cruel man, very selfish, very greedy. He was paid per child, and he made even more money out of these children by hiring them out to market stall holders, factory owners, chimney sweeps. So before long in his so-called care, it didn't take long for them to become very ill, for some of them to drop down dead. Within the workhouse, in his living quarters, there is a fire constantly blazing away. Now we don't know how many he put on the fire, but he certainly put a few bodies in the cupboard near the fire, nailed it shut, carried on drinking port. Now spring comes round, everything in this area starts to warm up. The locals complain about maggots and flies and blue bottles, thousands, millions of them, and especially this sickly sweet smell of death everywhere. And so they have to enter the workhouse. Some of the clerics and the administrators, they start to throw up, they start to vomit. The smell is so bad, they can't believe the state of some of the children. They go to Mr. Pym's living quarters. There he is, bold as brass, sat in a high-back leather chair, drinking wine. They see the fire, and then a little bit further away they see the cupboard, and they see the cupboard door, which is slightly bowed out. And the bottom of this cupboard door, thousands of maggots writhing onto the rug. They take a crowbar, they break it open, and 3 very emaciated bodies fall onto that rug.
Yeah, I think we get the picture. When we came into York, we were expecting to see the Minster and see all the sights and see all the really well-known bits, and you've brought us straight to quite a bizarre tale. Do you think that the people around here would be aware of what they're living on?
No. I don't think anybody around here knows the full story about what actually happened on this spot. And many years after this, of course, there's tales of, you talk about residual energy, you talk about many visitors, tourists, hearing the voices of little gangs of children playing, singing, laughing. 1 or 2 people have talked about feeling little hands trying to grab onto theirs as they walk in and around the shadows that surround this area. And 1 or 2 have felt tugs on their coats, on their bags, as they walk up and down the ginnels and alleyways of Bedden. So it is a very, very sad place. Before these new houses were built, the archaeologists descended en masse, and while they were digging, lots of them started to hear voices of children laughing and singing and playing, whispering in their ears. And one archaeologist in particular, all day he could feel this tap, tap, tap on his back. Again he looks round, nobody, nothing in sight. But he said he went home that night, took his shirt off, looked in the mirror, and his back is covered in tiny little red dots, like little scratches. And by the end of the week, his back is red raw, bleeding. Now him and the more open-minded of his colleagues, they read about the history of Mr. Pym and the York Ragged Industrial School, and they realise it must be the spirits of the dead children, trying to tell them where their bodies are buried and they won't rest in peace until they're given proper Christian burials.
Now, normally with churches you get quite a positive vibe, not always, but normally. But as we were walking past this church, as we came into this area, the area where the workhouse for the children was, where the awful Mr. Pym that Patrick mentioned did his terrible deeds, murdered so many of the children and abused them. This church is somehow connected to that, and it's an incredibly powerful vibe. And when I walk past, it's like walking past a block of soap or something. You could cut it with a knife. And this area where we're standing on the church is full of messages and energy, and not very nice, I have to say. Not very nice. If you tilt down, Isabella, you'll see what my crystal's doing now.
We're at the church where Simon felt really drawn to earlier, and while he was dowsing, you just saw him douse, I sat down quite low down and focused on the energy here. Initially I was feeling the tightness in my throat, like I was being hung or choked, something like that, and it felt more, it was very dominant energy. But as soon as that shifted, because I was sat low down, I started feeling I started seeing the kind of shiver of smaller spirits coming towards me, and they felt very scared. I think if I sat here longer, I'd probably be able to channel them. And also, spirits love Isabella, so maybe we should get her to do it too. I'm going to try and do a spirit drawing.
Okay.
So you know what this means, but basically it just means I ask the spirits to come, and if there's anyone here, I ask them to show themselves, and I let them use my hand.
Okay.
But when I was trying to focus earlier, I feel like the children are very nervous, so maybe it would help if you for sure tried to like just calmly ask them to like come to us. Just in your head, just speak to them, and then I don't know if you can try that too. I'm sure
that as well. Yeah,
they'll probably recognise you from being around.
They will know my voice.
Hopefully someone will come. Sorry, I'm feeling really sick. I'm actually going to spew. Oh my god, it feels like when you have food poisoning and it's like it's like bile. Stop it. That's so disgusting.
Do you think you're channeling maybe it was a child who was poisoned?
Oh my god.
Jenny, what's going on?
I feel like I'm going to spew. It's okay, I'm not actually going to spew.
I know, it's like, you okay?
I can taste bile in my mouth. It's just... Oh my god. Stop it. Oh, maybe I should try and draw it. But this might soothe me actually wanting to spew more.
It's okay.
That's horrible. I think it's a little girl. But actually, if he was wanting rid of the children, then poisoning them would get rid of them quicker.
Yeah, much quicker.
And also, if he wasn't feeding them, that's why I'm just spewing up bile.
They're slowly dying. They're not being fed. They're not being looked after.
Did they have? Would they have drank from something that was like this and then like a cylinder like that?
What, Mr. Pym?
Yeah.
What, children.
There's
Mr.
no
Pym,
him.
Yeah.
Is that what they were shaped like? Yeah.
What are you describing?
I'm describing Mr. Pym because I'm being shown him right now, and the way that he behaved towards them in the workhouse. I'm not getting someone that was a headmaster type. This person was wild and aggressive, like untamed, sort of nasty evil force, just going and attacking them, and really, really terrifying them. Why are you making my foot knock? What does that mean?
They're trying to run away?
Why is this street so important? This is the street that I keep getting pulled to, and I think I know now. That Mr. Pym's is here too, and what this is all there. It's like they're playing a game with them with all the spirits. He's still after them, and he's protecting them and keeping all the children away from him. So it's like a constant cat and mouse game around these streets. That's what it is.
So have they always been on the run? Have they always been trying to get away from him, even after death?
Yeah, they're hiding from him. They're just constantly hiding from him, and he's just.
But they will be safe because
He's looking after him. He's after.
So what just happened there was that Jenny was tuning in to the spirits of the little children and to their cruel master, Mr. Pym. And I was filming that, and while I was filming I could feel all the energy of those children swirling around us. It was really, really active, it was very powerful, but it was chaotic, and this place is still alive with the energy of all those conflicts with all those children who were so appallingly treated by Mr. Pym, and it's really got to all of us. It's really affected all of us. I mean, I'm the father of 2 children, and it's something that you really, really feel and empathise with. And what Jenny just did was to channel the leader of the children, who was the sort of the taskmaster who both protected them but also did Mr. Pym's bidding. And all the energy is still swirling around this place. It's still swirling around the church, and it's still in these streets. And you can feel the atmosphere, you can feel the energy. It's really quite overpowering. Before we finally leave the church, I just wanted to douse it again to see how the energy is now that it's got dark and we have been channeling the children here. So I have no idea what this is going to do, but let's see what happens. Now, how interesting is that? The answer is absolutely nothing. And the reason it's nothing is because we've increased the energies around here, and they're now holding it to a greater extent than they were before. So the energy has increased, and the presence of the children and the evil Mr. Pym has magnified, it seems. Well guys, I'm not quite sure how we follow that. What do you suggest, Patrick?
the face in the window. If we go to the plague house, near or surrounding the shadows around the minster, and we go and see if we see the face of the little girl squashed up against the centre frame of that tiny window.
That sounds ominous.
Okay, let's give it a go.
Smells like hurting the dog though. Dogs and children are very similar. Oh, I just got my head.
I don't know.
What's this one?
It's an old chorister's building where they used to go and practice. There was quite a few in this area.
You getting something from it?
Oh yeah. You know, if you do come to York, you have to do a ghost tour, because even if you're not totally weird like we are, you'll find it really interesting, because the whole place is full of the most amazing buildings and old structures, and this is one of them. I just walked past this and I just had to stop and touch it, because in these stones there is so much old energy, there's so much stored history, which I think anybody can feel. I think that if you hug a tree, you can feel its history, and you can feel the things that have happened around it, that it's absorbed. You can feel the absorbed energy, and you can feel it in this building. So next time you're passing a old building with lots of character, just stop and focus on it and touch it and think about what you can feel, because when you make contact with something, it makes all the difference. I once put my hand on a sacrificial Aztec stone at the, I think it was the Victoria and Albert Museum during an exhibition, and as soon as I touched it, I got all the horrendous history of it, all the fear and the violence and the blood. And this isn't an Aztec sacrificial stone, but these are old bricks. This is an old building. It's a fabric of an old building that has an awful lot of history. And if you stop and take notice, you can sense that. We can all sense it. All humans can do it. You can do this. Go on a ghost tour. They're really cool.
I have a theory about you. I think that you were one of the children that died in the workhouse, and that's actually why you come back here, that you're drawn to it. When I was channeling the spirits earlier, and when they were all around us, do you think that what I was saying, like the words I was speaking, like what I was describing, did it resonate with you? Did you think it felt right?
Yeah. Lots of people feel like that when they're in and around Bedden. Lots of people who come on the tours. I myself felt like that when I lived here. You just get that feeling. So, and you could be right about me being one of the children, or one of the older children, trying to protect the younger one, because I can't escape here. I tried to escape. Everything brings me back.
You probably you need closure. You probably feel guilty as well for leaving them, because obviously you're in a new life now, but your new life is bringing you back to your old life. So there must be a reason for that.
There is a great deal of guilt. So up there, the window on the right hand side with the tiny centre frame, this is where people see the face of a little girl. Now this is the most seen apparition or ghost in York. They'll be walking in this area, they will hear this tapping on the window, or what sounds like the scraping of tiny little fingernails. They will look up, and her sad face will be pressed up against that tiny centre frame. She's been trapped in that room for hundreds of years. She's the most seen ghost in York.
Well, that's the end of another incredible Ghost Next Door here in York. We visited a Georgian mansion with the ghost of a loyal manservant who was there for 50 years, and we've had the most incredible time in York with our guide Patrick Smith. Join us next time on Ghost Next Door.